Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss another important concept in the SQL environment, and now we are shifting our focus from the scripting language towards the programming side of the scripting, because there are many instances while we are developing the solution, the SQL scripts are not enough. So sometimes we have to program, and that's where the whole programming model comes as part of the database software. And you can see all the famous or mostly used database application in the industry. They are providing all the programming objects that you can use to build any database solution, because obviously the queries are not enough to build any enterprise scale solution. So that's why we need to use the programming side of the database. So in SQL Server, it is obviously referred as T-SQL. In Oracle, it is called PL/SQL, and Oracle PL/SQL is extremely powerful. Like, it provides you the full-fledged object orientation capabilities. Like, you can design the full landscape of your backend within the Oracle environment, and you can literally keep a very thin client layer on top of your strong backend, which has been designed in the Oracle. We have seen the system in the past, which has really heavy business oriented layer within the database in Oracle, and then obviously the client layer is very thin or slim, like it only doing some part of it, and it is just pushing the values toward the backend handle it, process it, and send it back to the front end, right? Which is another pattern that can be used as part of the software development. But today we're going to discuss the very first concept, which is obviously the stored procedure. So what we'll do, we'll jump into our dev environment and we'll build our first stored procedure. Let me share my dev environment. I'm just going to now move into the, yeah. So like I mentioned, with each database, you're going to get the programming stack. And if you want to build any programming object, you're going to find out, you're going to see in the programming section. So on your left side, if you expand the database node, it shows you all the available objects. And obviously each object have the subcategories. So if you expand the programmability, and then under programmability, you will see store procedure, function, database trigger, assemblies, types, rules, and all other objects which can help you to build the programs within the database environment, right? So today we are going to build our first store procedure. You can see I've already have the existing store procedure which I've used previously, but what I'm going to do just for this session, I'm going to create a completely new store procedure. And the beauty with SQL Server, it come up with the template, like it, you can see the initial help is there. It has put the standardization, so you just need to fill up the information, and you can extend based on the standard that have been defined in your organization, right? Considering I'm going to put everything within DBO schema, so I'm not specifying any schema, but we can do. I'm just going to SP is referred as store procedure, and a very simple, very first one. What I'll do, I'm going to actually return the dates between the given date range, right? So let's see how we can do get date by range, right? So obviously I need to provide the start date, and keep in mind that we have to put @sign, which specify the parameters and the variable, right? So you can see I'm just passing the date parameter. And by the way, you can pass the default date. So for example, if I just, pass 2022-01-01, and my default end date is end of this year, which is obviously 2022, there's 12, there's 31, right? Now, these are the parameter which I'm going to pass, and what I'm going to do now, I'm just thinking. Yeah, actually, yeah, I think that should be all right. Yeah, we can, yeah. Here, I don't think I need to do it. Yeah. While start date is equal to less than and equal to end date. And these are all the programming concepts we're going to discuss in upcoming videos, but bear with me if you don't understand programming. I'll just explain those concepts which are relevant to us. Like start date is equal to date at p comma 1 comma right. And at the moment, what I'm going to do, I just want to keep things simple, so I'm just printing it, right? So whatever is the date will be between this range, they will be displayed on the screen, right? So now you can see it's a very simple. Let me explain. So while loop is more like, if we want to iterate a number of time or any condition, we use two type of loop. One is obviously for, and the other one is while. I normally use while loop because it provides not only the iteration capabilities, yeah, like it can use the counting, but as well as it can be used to run the iteration based on the condition, right? So it's a one single loop that can address both things efficiently, right? Now, what I'm doing, date add function. So let me just come towards the logic. So we're gonna run the loop because we are extracting the date between the range. So we run from start date and we go end up in the end date, right? And we are printing on screen. The last thing in the logic, obviously, once the first iteration has been finished, we need to increment the date. Otherwise, the loop will be infinite, right? It will never stop because start date will never reach towards the end date. So what we are doing, so because it's a date, so we need to use the date add function. And date add function, it has the syntax that it asks you that, okay, what interval? So interval is more like, in each date, we have 6 interval, day, month, year, and then obviously if we have the time associated, then we have hour, minute, and second. But in this case, we only have 3 because we are using the pure date time, not the date time data type, right? So you can see in here. If I change it to date time, then it will be a different story, right? But we just use the date at the moment. And what I'm going to ask the compiler that, okay, I want to add 1 day, which is obviously the interval. It's represented by different letter. So D is for day. So, and I want to add 1 day, and where I want to add it, I specify the variable name. So whatever will be the result of this function, and by the way, that's the built-in function, right? So we have the capability to build our own function, but we can also reuse the function from the existing library, right? And you can see in here, we are assigning the value back into the same variable, which is the start date. And by the way, notice that we are using select statement to assign value to any variable within the T-SQL, right? So the logic is complete. Let's first create the store procedure, because it won't run the store procedure. It will create that block that you can use again and again, right? So let me run it. So it has been created successfully. Let's go back and see if we can, if we can find, yeah, we can find it. It's there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to execute it. And how I'm going to execute it, I can, you can see right, if you can do right click, there is an execute to a new query window, right? And there's a purpose why I'm not actually using the execute store procedure command, because I want to show you something now. If I run this store procedure now, you will see what will return. Let me see. How about if I just run it this? Yeah, I think I know. Yeah, so that's something I want to show you. Let me explain what happened previously, why it didn't actually show up. Like I mentioned, in this store procedure, if you have mentioned the default values, they're going to be used. But in here, why these default values had not been used previously? Because we have declared these two variables, and these two variables didn't have any value, right? But we are passing these two variables. So these two variables are overriding the value which are default, so which normally use if we are not passing the value to the store procedure. So in this case, if I just if I just ran it without, so let me just select up to up to this point, right? Because that is including the variable which obviously contain the return result. And let me also print RC just for the sake of clarity, and I'm just going to comment these two. I think that's a better one. Right, let me just show it to you. So we are getting all the way. So you can see now the whole range has been printed on the screen from Jan all the way till 12/31, 2022, which is the last day of this year, and 0, that means there is no issue. Otherwise, it's going to actually return the error code, right? Now, how about if we want to pass the custom value? So for example, I just want to, let's say, I want to start from this year. One value I'm just going to hard code. However, I'm just going to say, just print up to this date, right? So get date always return you the current date within the SQL environment. Now see what will happen. And now obviously I need to open the parameters, which two parameters I'm actually passing, and then let me run. So you can see it has started from 1st of Jan, but now the end date or the upper bound is going to trim towards current date, which is obviously 9th of August, 2022. So that's how we can create the simple store procedure as part of our solution, especially once we implement the data architecture. So one thing is designing, the other one thing is implementing. So during the implementation, all these store procedure function triggers comes into the picture, right? So I've just shown you the one simple store procedure, how you can implement it. Hopefully it will clarify the concept. But remember, if you have still a question, please post in the comment. More than happy to answer. But we're going to use this store procedure a lot in our upcoming videos, because now we are moving towards the advanced concept that requires some programming knowledge, and you're going to actually get it through the hands-on exercises that we're going to do in our upcoming video. So hopefully this video will be helpful. Please post any comments if you have. Otherwise, I'm going to see you in the next video with another important concept, which is temporary tables.